It's been some 40 years since Sandy Duncan flew into our hearts on Broadway as the boy who never grows up, Peter Pan. Mo Rocca has her Sunday profile.
Now won't you tell me what's a nice girl like me doing at a place that never closes? I can hardly hear you!
I mean this is high praise. You were kind of made for the Muppets.
I was.
Right? I mean...
I related more to them than a lot of actors I've ever worked with.
I just love doing laughing. It sure beats sitting at home watching it.
In the 1970s, Sandy Duncan was everywhere. A capital E entertainer.
She's a bright new comedy star, Sandy Duncan.
Starring in family comedies like The $1 Million Duck.
When the dog barks, the duck lays an egg. I don't know why.
Well, that's not the way my mother explained it to me. Oh, Kizzy, you needn't be afraid. You keep my secrets and I'll keep yours.
Earning an Emmy nomination for her performance in Roots.
I'll protect you, Kizzy. I'll always protect you.
It can't be.
It is.
Sandy Duncan.
Help! Somebody help me!
Teaming up with those meddling kids of Scooby-Doo.
Sandy Duncan, glamorous Hollywood star.
And during commercial breaks, hawking a certain snack food.
Eating wheat thins, one after the other.
Though it turns out it's a rival cracker she now prefers.
I love Triscuits.
Is this an exclusive?
Yes, this is an exclusive.
But for many, Sandy Duncan is suspended in time as the boy who wouldn't grow up, dazzling audiences in the 1979 revival of Peter Pan.
I have a place where dreams are born and time is never planned.
She wore this costume, she says, 554 times.
I felt joy every time I did this. I don't think I had a bad show.
She's not the bragging type, but you can still crow.
I can still crow. Dance, not so much. Pretty close.
In fact,
Pretty close.
she's still kicking.
Still a little
I think
bit.
I let my
You're
back out.
taller. Your legs are longer.
That's why.
Now I'm aggravated. Okay. Cut.
The dancing began when Sandy Duncan was a kid in New London, Texas.
It's a teensy oil town, and that's where I was born and went till first grade. And literally is the VFW hall, a grocery store, a drugstore, the bank, and then a church and a church and a church and a church and a church, and then you're out of town.
That's where Sandy danced in her first recital when she was just 5 years old.
I didn't have the lead part. Nana Kay did. We were just sort of like the backup girls that would go, "That's right, Nana Kay, that's right."
In third grade, she moved to the big city of Tyler, Texas, the rose capital of America, and naturally a place with lots of parades.
We had some ugly queens, I'll tell you, because it's whose daddy had the most money.
Sandy, however, had the most talent. And when she was 19, she headed to New York.
And I moved into this place called the Rehearsal Club, which was just for young women. It was $32 a week. I started getting work right away, which is lucky because it's not always the case. And also, I couldn't audition, never could, still can't. I stink.
She auditioned well enough, though, to book a series of commercials for United California Bank.
I've had a real good month. Yes, sir, no complaints. You don't hear me complaining.
That got her noticed for her quirky sense of humor. The impression of you as being perpetually cheerful, did that ever irritate you?
Yes, of course it did, because it's far from the truth. Don will tell you that.
Don is dancer and choreographer Don Correa,
That's pretty.
Duncan's husband of 42 years. They have 2 sons and live in Connecticut. Is there singing and dancing that goes on in this house?
I grab her occasionally and she goes, "Get away from me."
We tried to do a jump about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I said, let's just see if we can jump in the air. Well, it wasn't so easy, but
It was okay getting up, but then when you land, your whole body just shakes.
Before they were married, they were dance partners. What did it feel like to dance with each other?
you just knew you were never going to fall. You were never going to be dropped. There's a thing of us doing at the Palace, Irene and Vernon Castle, and we had to do these really incredibly fast drives. He's just sure.
She's a very strong woman. So she has been through a lot. It's made her stronger and stronger. And, you know, she keeps saying, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, she can.
Duncan's resilience was proven long ago. Back when she was 24, she was cast in her own sitcom on CBS. Funny Face was a hit, but 3 months before wrapping the first season, Duncan just knew something was wrong.
And I started to get these hideous headaches that I could barely function. And then my eyes started getting, like I had Vaseline over one of my eyes. And they kept saying it was nerves because it's my first series. And I kept going, no, I'm hyper, but I'm not nervous.
One doctor recommended sleep.
I thought they're going to give me a shot and I'm never going to wake up.
And so she visited more doctors.
Of course, there's no CAT scan and no MRI.
Right.
They didn't exist. And they found it in the surgery that there was this big tumor that was attached to the orbit of my eye. They severed the optic nerve, and that's why I have no vision.
No vision at all in her left eye.
And forgive me if this is too graphic, but how did they even get in there?
They saw the top of my head off. I have holes and scars all over the place, and then they stapled it back on. I had to wear a wig for almost a year. And everyone thinks that I lost my eye, and I go, no, I'm sorry, I didn't. You know, no, it's not a prosthetic.
As she made clear in the program for a 2008 production of No No Nanette, Sandy Duncan does not have a glass eye. But she did lose her depth perception.
It interferes with a lot of things. Just picking up this glass, even yet, and that was what, God knows how many years ago.
50 years ago.
50 years ago. Thanks, Mo. And I have to really concentrate to get the glass or to pour something into something. You know, my biggest problem is my self-consciousness about another person's comfort.
It's easy to forget that Duncan's greatest triumph happened after her brain tumor. In his review of Peter Pan, New York Times theater critic Walter Kerr described how the wires seemed to disappear when Duncan took flight. She just lets go of gravity, he wrote, gracefully and gleefully, and lets the mechanical equipment catch up as best it can.
That joy and passion, it seems like, has driven you a lot.
I'm not sure what you were meaning about wires. What?
Oh, he said, I was rereading the New York Times.
But I mean, what wires?
Oh. All right, good. Anyway.